Ladies and gentlemen, we are sitting here with Mr. Mike Rosales, the Ro in RoMa Craft Tobac. You like the little?
I like that.
We're going to do an impromptu interview for the Cigar crew. They kind of rhymed. I'm a poet that didn't know it. So, Mike,
Yes,
what
sir.
is going on with RoMa Craft for IPCPR this year?
Yo, so we got Baca, which is the new Cameroon project that we're working on dropping. It's going to be on display at the trade show.
Okay. What does Baca mean?
Baca is actually it's from the African region of Cameroon,
Okay.
but it's the indigenous people, kind of like what EMH or Cro-Magnon were. So the early indigenous people that's what they called it in their language, is Baca.
Oh, I thought EMA stood for Ecuadorian, Mexican, and Honduran.
No, it stands for early modern human.
Or early modern.
There you go.
Learn something new when you
Dropping
talk to the man who knows.
Dropping knowledge.
All right. So what else you got? So you got the Baca?
Yeah, we got Baca coming up. We actually just launched the Whiskey Rebellion, which actually
Had that. I posted that yesterday.
yeah. So that's just now trickling into the store. So that's going to be like the main feature at the show. It's kind of the So we seated about 35, 40 shops around the country with it who have good Instagram, social media kind of presence, and so to kind of get some good feedback. So you can find Whiskey Rebellion in a few shops around town. You can check out RoMaCraftTobac.com. There's a map. It'll show you who's got our products. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to push that out into more stores, right? So what we're trying to do, so it's in the Intemperance line. So the Intemperance has a Connecticut shade, a Brazilian wrapper, and it also, this new one is a Habano wrapper.
So stop right there.
Okay.
So I had yesterday the Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, right?
Okay, yeah.
So when I went down, because Avery told me about it, and when I looked it up, I said, wait a minute, this is an Ecuadorian Habano Ligero.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, this thing had a lot of fucking flavor and had like a little kick to it too.
Yeah.
So what made you guys come up with that?
Well, so I wanted something, well, I say my partner and I, Skip Martin, so I'm Ro, he's Ma, that's how that works. So we wanted to bring something. So here's the thing, the Cro-Magnon, the broadleaf, is very hard to get, right? So every year we're always constantly fighting to get really, really good, high-grade broadleafs. The Habano wrapper is good, but if you start getting into the higher primings, there's less of it, but it's got a lot of flavor. Right? So we wanted to bring that into the cigar line to kind of kick it up a notch. So in the event that there is no broadleaf, because people love Cro-Magnon, that they could get the same kind of kick out of the Habano wrap.
So that's what this is, the Cro-Magnon. This is the broadleaf.
That's the broadleaf. Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay,
So
all right.
So right now we have Cro-Magnon, the Cro-Magnon Aquitaine, which is the Habano wrapper. So black band, black wrapper, broadleaf.
Got it.
Brown is the Habano. Right. We have the Intemperance EC, which is the Ecuador, Connecticut, the shade, the light shade. And then we have the Brazilian, which is the BA, and now we have the Whiskey Rebellion. And then we have the Enoco, right, which is the Mexican San Andres wrapper.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing I've always wanted to ask either one of you, right? How the hell do you come up with these names for these cigars and these lines like Intemperance and Aquitaine? And then you come out with a cigar called Whiskey Rebellion. I looked that one up. I actually posted on my Instagram about the Whiskey Rebellion, what it was. I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. Where you come up with these names from?
Well, the idea, the concept is there's layers, right? So if you're into our products, you're into our brands, there's some substance behind just having a cigar, right? Aquitaine is a region of France where they found the Cro-Magnon skull.
Did not know that.
There you go.
See?
Boom, mind blown.
Really?
So the obviously the Whiskey Rebellion, there was a time whenever they were overtaxing the guys who were growing corn, that were making like a whiskey. They got thrown in jail, they rebelled, they let them go. So, the whole intemperance movement is really about what started Prohibition. So in the 18th Amendment, so you have the EC 18 and the BA 21, so it stands for the 18th Amendment and the 21st Amendment, which was the before and after what started Prohibition.
Okay.
Right? Which kind of started all the gangsters and
the alcohol in Chicago. Yeah.
So the reason why we chose to do that line is because we're going through something like that right now in the cigar industry, right? Where you can smoke, where it's taxed, where you can get it at, and it's becoming more and more restrictive every day. So we wanted people to get engaged and let them know that this privilege that we have gets smaller and smaller every day, right? And that there's a correlation between what we went through with the alcohol to what's going on now in cigars or tobacco. Right?
Okay.
So that's so we try to bring a little bit of layers and some thought
and education
into what's going on.
So to that point, and you don't have to get down deep into it, you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but how do you feel about this impending federal regulation into the cigar industry?
Oh, it sucks. Yeah, it sucks. It makes it really, really hard to come up with creative new products, right? So in order to come out with something like Baca, we're using what we understand is the guidelines, what they've come up with, and
which nobody really understands.
No one really understands. So it's just basically our interpretation. So we have Cro-Magnon and Aquitaine, which are the same kind of boxes. So Baca will come in the same style of Baca, or same as Cro-Magnon and Aquitaine. But it'll have you can change the tobacco. It's my understanding of the law.
Okay.
Now, until they come out and say you can't do that, we'll stop doing it. But until then, we're just going to be creative in our own little way that we can do it.
So what if they come out and say, like, okay, well, you can't do this. Not only can you not do this anymore, but everything that you did before then is going to be, subject to regulation. How does that work out?
Yeah. So worst case scenario, we'll send everything to Europe.
Really? Yeah. Oh, of course, because you have different markets.
Right.
So are you sold in a lot of different markets outside the United States?
Yeah, so we're in England, Portugal, Germany.
England, really?
Yeah.
I thought people in England typically smoke like lighter and milder cigars.
We do very, very well in England.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We have a distributor over there. It's Havana. I forget what it's called. It's Havana something. Anyways, they have 7 or 8 shops around England and London that they do really, really well for it. But we have a partnership with the Schusters, who are like the Nat Shermans of Germany, right? So they've been around for about 120 years, and they have great, long-lasting relationships. So they do all our distribution. So we're probably, I want to say, about 9 different countries in Europe.
Really? I had no idea.
Now, it's a much, much smaller. That would be like saying, like Delaware, Rhode Island, Maine, Massachusetts, right? Like it's a small, compacted. That's kind of how Europe is, right? Like they're not major market territories, right? So it's a lot more condensed. So we don't do like volumes and volumes, but we absolutely could take everything that we make here, send it to Europe, and then let them distribute it throughout the world from there.
Okay, so let's bring
Worst
it back
case
to
scenario.
Let's bring it back to the United States. IPCPR.
Yeah.
Right. So you got that coming up in Las Vegas, right?
Yes.
So I haven't been, but I've seen you guys set up. From different interviews and YouTube and stuff like this, you guys have like an amazing setup. But like, how much does stuff like that cost? Because you got to have like multiple booths and stuff like this.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Okay. It is. However, if you're in Vegas, we're throwing this party at Tao. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot.
So if I can make it out there,
you can make it out there. You got the invitation. I'll put you on. That's all good, right? We're showing love.
So how often do you get a chance to like come down here, like to North Carolina? Like what is like?
Well, I usually come once a year.
Trips?
No. Skip lives in Nicaragua. He comes up to Austin probably about 7 to 10 days out of the month. But I do most of the travel. I do the events throughout the United States. So I try to come through here at least once or twice a year.
Once or twice a year. Yeah. Okay. So when you say here, you talking about the Carolinas or the East Coast?
Yeah. Well, no. I'm probably in the East Coast, 7-8 times a year, right? Okay. So I usually will fly into, like, let's say Newark, right, because I fly United. So then I'll hit Pennsylvania one trip, or I'll go down to Philly, or I'll go over into New York, New Jersey, up to, Northeast, right?
Okay.
So the Carolinas in the Mid-Atlantic area, I try to come down here about twice a year. And then, so I try to rotate and just kind of hit everybody. But you have to remember, we only have about 325 accounts here in the United States. Now, they may have multiple locations, but they only count as one.
Okay, got it. Right. So do you guys classify yourself as boutique, or you're surpassed boutique now?
I don't know what boutique is, man. What's boutique?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I have learned what boutique is, right? And I could be wrong, right? I've been wrong before.
That's all right.
In my knowledge of what boutique cigar means is that you're producing less than 1 million cigars per year.
We're over that.
Okay, so you're not boutique anymore.
But again, what's boutique? Because here's the thing.
Just by that definition, you're not boutique.
Boutique to me,
you're like, you're not big box brands, but you're like, you're the best-selling boutique.
Hey, that's what they say. I don't know. I'm just here, right? So,
okay.
But here's the thing. We're family owned and operated.
Okay.
right?
Right.
So by definition, you could say, but to me, like when I think of boutique, I think of like a little small in a hotel, little. They sell clothing lines and stuff that you never heard of that are going to be like $300, $500 for a shirt. Like that to me, when I think of boutique, I know people in this industry use that.
Wait. Warp is boutique. La Polina, boutique.
I'm just saying.
Tatuaje, kind of boutique.
I would say they're over $1 million.
Okay, so they're like you.
I don't know.
You're on the cusp of boutique.
Okay.
You're boutique-ish.
We keep it slim. You know what I'm saying? We keep it slim.
So, last question. How do you guys, like, well, actually, two more questions. This is one of the last two. How do you and Skip come up with the blends? Because before you answer that, I smoke a lot of different cigars.
Sure.
But there are only certain cigars that are in my rotation.
Right.
Not certain cigars, but certain companies, right? RoMa Craft is one of those that's in my rotation. I can smoke a RoMa Craft blindfolded, and I know I'm smoking a RoMa Craft. I might not know exactly which one it is,
sure,
but I know it's RoMa Craft.
Right.
How do you guys achieve that?
It's about keeping it simple.
Okay.
Right? Number one, the tobacco has to be extremely grade A, 100% clean. Right? And when you have good, and you pay for a premium to have better types of tobacco, it's really hard to fuck up the cigar.
Okay.
That's number one.
Right, I agree with that.
Number two, right, like Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza, but I'm not trying to compare us to Papa John's. I'm just saying that's where that. But
better tobacco, better cigars.
But, like if you went to a restaurant and you go up and they say, you know what, we actually grow all our herbs and spices up in this little thing over there, and they go and they pick them. Like they're getting herbs and spices that they pick fresh today to cook in their in their rotation of food.
Right.
That's what we kind of try to do, right? We want to get.
So you're saying you're growing some of your own tobacco?
We don't grow our own tobacco. We actually pay some big companies to get it ready for us, and then we take it and then we bring it in. But what I would tell you, the tobacco has. I mean, it's got to move you, right? I make cigars that I like. Skip makes cigars that he likes. We make cigars that we love, right?
Okay.
And then the idea is to say, man, this is something that I really, really enjoy, that I like personally. And I wouldn't put it on the market if I just say that's a good cigar, but I think we can sell it. I wouldn't, because the consumer ultimately tells the story.
Right.
But if I put something in your hand and I say, man, I made this with love, then I guarantee you that you'll enjoy it as much as I do, right?
Okay.
And that's really ultimately what it comes down to. Is it's something that, you know what, if we made 500,000 of these and no one else bought them, I would smoke them. So that, because I like it that much.
So to that point, then, out of all the different cigars that you guys carry, within each line, are some of the lines, are those Skip lines, and some of those are Mike lines?
No, I would say Neanderthal is more Skip.
Okay.
Right. Cro-Magnon, Esteban and I put together, and then Skip came in and put his influences on the back end of it.
Okay.
Aquitaine, same thing. We all did it together. The Connecticut and the Intemperance line, that was Esteban. He did that. It was just, there was nothing to change. It was just a great cigar. The Brazilian was more Skip. Wanderlust was Skip and Esteban. Baca was all three of us. So we just
You talking about Esteban? You said Esteban Carrero?
No. Esteban Disla, who does all of our tobacco procurement and is a partner.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, all right.
So that he, ultimately, Esteban comes in. He says, so we all have three different specialties, right? So my shop, my specialty is I work with all the retailers and all of the United States distribution side. So I run the U.S. side. Esteban runs the factory, right? So he does all the procurement, he makes sure all the rollers are there, he makes sure all the packages get out, make sure everything logistically is sound. And then Skip is like this in between the two of us, right? So he does all of like the long-term future planning. He's the bean counter of he wants to make sure that we're running lean, we're efficient, that we're profitable. That
He's
we
a
have
Six Sigma guy.
That's a Six Sigma guy, right?
All right.
So he's the brainchild behind the back end stuff. And so, like I said, so the three of us are like this perfect three-legged stool that we all, you stay in your lane, I stay in mine. I don't go in there and tell you what to do and how to do it. You don't come over here.
Okay.
So I mean, and really, when you come, like, if we both had similar personalities, all we would do is fight. Right?
Okay.
So,
I can feel that.
So on the, or we would butt heads, or we would say, my way's better, it's the best way to do it. Where this one, we all kind of have our own unique kind of specialties, and we just kind of do work uniquely in balance.
So you brought up something, right?
So we got one more question.
So
we got a question to the question.
Look, you're a freaking fountain of knowledge, man.
I try to be.
Like shit. Like I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass. I'm gonna tell you something real talk right here, right now. Everybody loves to interview brand owners, stuff like this. But there are some brand owners who are just brand owners. They don't really have a lot of input or control over the product. There are some guys like yourself and Skip who, you're heavily involved in every facet of the business, so you can talk a lot more about it. And when you do, you impart that to the customers because now you're educating us.
Sure.
That's why I ask a lot of questions.
For sure, no.
Yeah, so to that point, you talk about tobacco, right? You don't have to answer this. Is there a secret as to where people get their tobacco from?
No.
No. Okay, because Placencia supplies a lot of people with tobacco. Not everybody, but a lot of people.
They're top 5.
Okay, so where do you get your guys' tobacco from?
So we get the majority of the tobacco we get out of the Olivas out of Tampa.
Okay.
Gustavo Cura runs a thing called Natsa. We get a lot of tobacco from them. We actually buy some tobacco from AJ. So the Pennsylvania that we do for Fable, that comes from his farms.
Okay.
We get some from Aganorsa. So
you do?
Yeah.
Because I smoke a lot of your cigars.
Yeah.
The Aganorsa Corolla Robusto, always in my rotation.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I said, they got good tobacco, right? So whenever you work with good partners and they see that you're on the come up, they want to make sure that you got good stuff. Because they're basically, even though they make their own cigars and they sell a lot of cigars, that they see that you got a little shine. They want to keep that going, right? Because you're buying product from them, right?
Right. So last question: how did you and Skip meet?
Yeah, so I was actually doing an event. So prior to all this, I would actually bring up a cigar roller, and we would roll cigars in a shop, and then we would do kind of educational things, kind of like we did today.
Did you own a shop? Did you run
I
a
didn't
shop?
own the shop. I would bring the roller, so they would pay me to bring a roller and then do it.
Oh, so you like kind of event coordinating almost.
Right.
Okay, got it.
And so Skip had a store on the side that he also had. He worked for Dell, but he owned a shop in Galveston. And so he lived in Austin, and so I was doing an event. He came over, said, "What's up?" We kind of kicked it off. We started smoking cigars together, and then he brought me a cigar and said, "Man, I used to make these cigars, or I used to get these cigars from Camacho back in the day. Could you make something like this?" I said, "I don't have the tobacco here, but I'm going to go to Nicaragua in 2 weeks." I brought some stuff back, and that's really kind of what started the conversation about making RoMa as a whole.
And you guys started the company in what year?
2012.
2012. And in the 6 years, you guys have grown to how many accounts you have in the States?
So we about 325.
325. So has that exceeded your expectations, or you about right where you think you should be?
I think it's where we thought we would be.
Okay.
I mean, we always knew we'd be at 1 million cigars, right? Like that's a manageable number to kind of hit. It's attainable, especially for our kind of model where we don't have brokers, we don't have reps, we don't have people out pushing the market.
Oh, you don't?
No.
I thought you guys had brokers.
We have 2 guys that work in the office that they're kind of like, they have account sets that they work with, and they help them with ordering. And I would say they're like a rep in the way that they're representatives of our company.
But they're not going out the store beating pavement and stuff like that. Oh, okay.
Right.
I got you. Well, I just want to say thank you very much to Mr. Mike Rosales, the Ro in RoMa Craft Tobacco, for his time. I came all the way up here because it's an important guy. I was not going to miss this opportunity to interview him. So thank you very much, sir.
Appreciate everybody listening.
Smoke RoMa.
We'll see you guys in Vegas.
Happy CPR.